out something that's going to get you tonight. Let's talk about the thing that's going to get you tonight. Welcome to the Happy Harvest Horror Show.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Corrie.
And I'm Brian, and this is the Happy Harvest Horror Show, where every week we talk about spooky things and everything Halloween adjacent in this post-Halloween world that we're living in.
I love how every time we do our opening, you do that little like voice modulation.
Yeah,
it's become a thing, and I like it. It's good. It's good for the brand.
We believe in rituals here, and I'm scared to break it.
No, I love it. I love it. Big fan. Big fan.
It's like stepping on a crack. You know, it's bad luck. I can't break it.
I'm just impressed by the consistency, personally. Like, you always do it. And I'm like, good. Like, this is
bits on bits on bits. I stick to a bit.
So today, we're actually giving you kind of a throwback episode. As some of you may know, this podcast actually started as like a subset of a different podcast, Spooky Corner over at the Art History Babes podcast. And then we decided to, go full time and make it our own little thing and create our own little corner of the internet.
Yeah.
But there's a handful of good episodes over there. So we're sprinkling them out so you guys can listen to those as well. And so this week we're throwing back to an episode we recorded that was actually released on Christmas of 2019.
Was it on Christmas we released it?
Yeah, it was. I know. So Christmas 2019, we did an episode on Krampus, everyone's favorite Christmas demon Santa counterpart.
And we just missed Krampus this last week, so we thought, hey, let's bring that back and present it to the world, because we did some fun research. That was a good episode, and it's perfect time to kind of go back and share it again.
So that is what we are going to do. But first, quick shout out to our wonderful monthly supporters. We love you so much. Erica, Jennifer, Jody, and Aaron. You are amazing, and we really appreciate y'all and the fact that you like what we're doing and that you want to help keep us going. Mm-hmm. And if anyone else out there is enjoying this content, if you like it and you want us to be able to keep going all year round, Halloween 24/7, 365.
Hell yeah.
You can throw your change our way. It's very easy to do. You just head over to, I never remember the link.
I do. Anchor.fm/HHHS/support.
Boom. It's also linked in the show notes and on the show page. But yeah, they make it super easy. You just pop over there, thing pops up. It asks you which option you want to opt into as a monthly supporter. You fill in your stuff and it's super easy. And literally you can, throw us 99 cents a month and that stuff adds up. So
really appreciate it.
Yeah. If you're able and you like this content, independent creators, we got to support our independent creators. It's a very real thing in our current state of just, content. Mm-hmm. We're shifting into a weird space where like there's a lot of content out there that is free and a lot of people don't want to pay for it. And, we haven't quite figured that out as a society. We haven't figured out what to do about that. So yeah, we're totally independent and we really, really, really appreciate literally your spare change. So
thank you. And also a shout out to our Happy Harvest Horror Show theme song artist, Brendan Dalton. He, if you didn't know, also has written his own Lord of the Rings Christmas album.
Love
which
it.
Is very fun. And he has released a Christmas stop motion claymation version of his song Gollum's Christmas. And it's very endearing and very fun. So if you're a fan of the music in the intro, like we are big fans, go out and check it out and check out his Christmas album as well, because it's very catchy.
Super fun, super creative. Also super niche. I love it.
I know. I love it. I am square in that corner of the market, and I love that he does it.
Those are our little announcements. Spooky banter. We gotta banter for you all. We must do it. It's part of the deal.
It's part of the pact, the blood pact we made.
Brian,
Yeah.
how spooky was your week?
It was pretty spooky. I have been continuing on that American Horror Story train. In fact, like I went pretty hard this last weekend. I finished up Asylum, and then I went through all of Freak Show and Coven. I went through 2 seasons in like a matter of 4 days, and it's very fun. I think it is fun. I think if you think too hard about it, like I think I was in the past, of like, what is this? What's the nut to crack? It's my Jack Skellington. Like, what is this scientific method of American Horror Story?
Right.
I've kind of let go and just let it happen, and it's much funner that way. I feel.
I love that. You just gotta let it happen.
Let it happen. And I am having fun. I thought Coven was pretty nuts. Coven was nuts, and I always hear people hate on Freak Show, and I thought it was pretty. At least the first like 4 episodes was really fun with this killer clown. And then I kind of realized that maybe all the seasons, their first 4 episodes are really good, because where they release like live, they release it usually like September, and like the 4th or 5th episode or around there is usually the Halloween episode. So they usually go like really hard in the spooky season, and then like the last 8 episodes kind of like, all right, well, our horror show is now after Halloween, and so we have 8 episodes left. That's been kind of my experience with the seasons that I've seen. But all the same, I'm excited to keep going. I'm currently on Hotel with Lady Gaga, and that's its own sort of work.
I know a lot of people love the Lady Gaga American Horror Story moment. Like, a lot of people are big fans.
Yeah, beautiful, I guess, about the show is the people that I've talked to, everyone has their own idea of what's the best one. I love that.
Totally,
you know?
totally.
The episode that brought me back in was 1984, and as I'm going through the other seasons, I'm realizing 1984 was kind of an outlier of like, it's very different than all the other seasons, most notably because most of the cast doesn't really return. It's all a lot of new faces. Anyway, so I watched a lot of that. And that was pretty fun.
Yeah, you did.
A lot of it. I watched a lot of that show. But
impressive.
Yeah. So now I really only have 4 seasons left. Of the 9 seasons, I've got 4 left. And I'm excited to be done. And
it's a feat. It is a feat.
But I'm not new to these feats. I especially in quarantine this year, I've done a lot of these sort of like challenges of like, let's see if I can watch them all. One of them was back in, I think I told you about this back in, I think maybe April. I went through all of Twin Peaks. Like all of Twin Peaks.
Yes, we need to do a Twin Peaks episode at some point.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. And I like went from another series of like, I don't get it. Why do people like it? To me being like a devout, like diehard now. Of like, I fucking love Twin Peaks now. Yeah. Anyway, that's really what my world's been consumed with. How spooky was your week?
2 things. First one, you can always count on me for the scoop when it comes to cults, as you know at this
Inside
point.
scoop.
I devoured the Heaven's Gate documentary series that is on HBO right now.
Would you recommend?
Of course. Heaven's Gate is a fascinating one. Oh, I love Heaven's Gate. It's so interesting. Fun fact about me, if you'd like to know or have more of an idea of what a weird child I was. So Heaven's Gate infamously committed, a mass suicide in 1997. And so at this time I was like 8-9 years old, and I was very fascinated by them. And there is a pretty famous photo of Marshall Applewhite, the cult leader, and his just like a zoom in on his face from like the videos of him like talking about, what the cult believed and whatever. Right. And there was just this image of his face, and it was very popular in the media when all this went down. And I definitely took a magazine cover that featured that image, and I taped it on my wall. So I was like, I was like an 8-year-old that had this like cult leader on my wall, like next to my Titanic posters.
And no one stepped in,
I don't know. no. My mom was just like, oh, I got a weird kid.
Oh no.
I mean, I could go on and on about the intricacies of Heaven's Gate. In fact, I have multiple times over the past few days. I've had many conversations. I'm not going to do that here, but very good. Very good if, you're into cults and that kind of stuff. If you're unfamiliar, the Heaven's Gate doctrine is kind of an interesting mix of Christianity and like sci-fi.
Okay.
So check it out. Very good. Well done documentary. It's a 4-parter and, HBO does great stuff. And then also I apparently beat you and I marathoned all of the third day.
You finished.
I finished. I watched it in like 48 hours, I feel like. It's so good. I
liked what I saw so far. I was happy. I didn't finish it because I was watching it current. And so I saw like up until like the 3rd episode or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I had to wait. And then that's the problem sometimes with these shows. When you keep current, if you fall off a week, then you're like, okay, well, I'll just wait till they're all out. And then years go by and you're like, oh yeah, I guess they did all come out. So let's go.
Yep. We live in a world of binge watching. Like we really do.
Sure do.
It's so good. I loved it. Like I really loved it a lot. I mean, honestly, yeah, there's, a connection to cults very much in the show.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
But it's beautifully shot, beautifully put together, a wild story, very dark, very heavy, so good, just so good. There's plenty of good Jude Law crying scenes, him just fucking losing it. He just can't keep it together in that show.
I mean, he's going through a lot. He's putting himself through a lot too. He had many opportunities to just get the fuck out of there, and he didn't, Also, to answer the question of, because we brought it up last time, on what the name of the road that goes across the water, basically, we couldn't figure out what it was. It's causeway. Causeway is the word I was looking for last week. So I know you've all been waiting with bated breath.
It's a causeway, yes. I mean, when you think about it, causeways in general are pretty terrifying. Like, I don't like that.
You're trapped.
Yeah, I don't want to be trapped. Like, that sounds terrible. If being trapped is even an option, like, I'm not going over there. Like,
which is a pretty rare thing nowadays. Like, it's hard to be trapped somewhere.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, and then that's one thing that does get me about this show. There are instances with multiple characters where, like, they know, like, it keeps coming up. Like, the causeway closes in 2 hours, and then they still, like, are like, okay, we have plenty of time, and then they still go about doing their shit. Like, if that was me, that would not happen. Like, the causeway closes in 2 hours. Okay, we have no time. Like, we need to leave immediately.
We gotta go right now.
Like, I am the person, I go to the airport like 4.5 hours early. Like, I do not, like, 2 hours. That is not enough time for anything.
I'm that way now. I wasn't that way for a long time until I finally missed a flight, and now I'm paranoid.
I'm sure you are.
Missing a flight. Like, oh shit, that was actually a really bad experience, and I do not want that to happen again.
I have never missed a flight. I've never missed a bus. I've never missed a train. I'm telling you.
It's pretty wild how that's it. There's no one's there to help you after that.
Oh yeah, they're like, you fucking missed it.
You missed it. Okay, what's the next flight? What?
Which is why if I'm flying somewhere, that is all I am doing that day. I don't understand people who like try to do shit and then go hop on a flight. It's like, no, I have to fly somewhere today. Like, that is what I am doing, and that is the focus, and I'm going to get to the airport super early, and like, that's it. And yeah, likewise, if I was like on an island and I knew the causeway was closing in 2 hours, I am not taking any chances there. Like, that's not happening.
I mean, to be fair, his character was taking a lot of chances. He's pretty fast and loose with a lot of things in his life,
That's very true.
So, really, the causeway was the least of his concerns.
But you need to finish so we can actually talk about it.
I'm excited to finish. I need to finish that, and I also need to finish Lovecraft Country. Which, have you started Lovecraft Country?
I haven't. I have not.
It's so cool. It's very, very cool. I don't want to spoil it. I want you to go in, and then we can have like a debrief, maybe a spoiler cast of like talking about that show.
Oh, that would be fun.
HBO Spookies.
HBO Spooky time. Also, Christmas Spookies is what you're here for.
Yes. So Yeah, let's maybe get back into that. So I'm sorry we missed Krampusnacht. I hope you all found time to celebrate it in your own way. Or if you didn't even know you could have been celebrating it, I hope this gives you a heads up for next year on what this character and the night does.
Also, you can just like celebrate it right now if you want. Like, no one's stopping you.
Yeah, time is irrelevant in 2020. You can do whatever you want.
You can. You really can. So, celebrate it if that sounds like fun to you. Sounds like fun to me.
Sounds like fun to me. All right.
Well, enjoy this podcast where we go into the mythology. We talk about some classic Christmas cards that feature Krampus. And I think we also talk about some of our favorite like Christmas horror films towards the end. So enjoy.
Stay spooky. Enjoy. Bye.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Corrie, and I got a special friend out from the cupboard, Brian Muldoon.
I'm back. Can't keep me away.
You weren't gone long at all.
No, that was pretty short-lived. It was a pretty emotional goodbye at the end of it, and then 2 weeks later, how about we get him back out?
No, this actually works out really well because typically for the holiday season, like the four art history babes have done a holiday episode, but we just didn't really have time to get everyone together this year. And then you send me a text and you're like, hey, how about Krampus? And I was like, damn it, he's done it again. And so we're combining the holiday special with Spooky Corner, which is like all I want in life. When you combine Christmas with spooks, that's my bread and butter. That's my
why
jam.
We love Christmas Carol. It's just the best of both worlds.
Exactly. I tell people this all the time. I'm like, it's Christmas, it's ghosts, it's everything I love.
Yep.
Actually, I was just did you ever, when you lived in Chicago, did you ever go to the Christmas Kindle market?
Yeah. The little, like, the kind of like a pop-up holiday market. Is that
the German market downtown.
Yeah. They got the beer gardens there. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, they got the mulled wine. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
you get a boot. You get a little boot for your mulled wine.
Give you a boot. I remember it's very packed. It's a very concentrated corner of the market, but it's very fun.
It is. It's super fun. It's lovely. There's lots of wooden crafts and pretzels and and it's just a really lovely time. And I went with my friend Zach, who has also been a guest on the podcast before, and we were just having a lovely Christmas time. And they had kind of nailed up to a wall, they had a Krampus. And Zach pointed it out. He was like, Krampus seems like it would be your kind of thing. I was like, you would be correct in that assessment.
Well, now the stars are aligning and we can talk about them today.
Yeah, so let's do it. We're talking Krampus, the, I guess, darker side of Santa Claus, if you will.
Yeah, it's Saint Nick's foil, right? He's the whereas Saint Nicholas brings goodies for your boots. Krampus will, take your kids away in chains. It's the yin and the yang, it's
okay, but to be fair, like those do not seem equal at all.
Depends, like maybe how good the goodie in the boot is, right?
Yeah,
like some kids maybe are getting iPads and they're like, yeah, this is fair. Like if this is on the table, if this is what's possible.
Yeah, it seems a little like, either you get some coins in your shoes, or eternal hellfire and damnation.
And not a fun way of getting there. He stuffs you in a sack. We'll get into all the fun ways in which he takes your kids, but
he also, depending on the story, sometimes he doesn't take them down to hell at all, but he still isn't very nice.
But is it better? I don't know.
I don't know about that. All right, where should we start? Where should we start with Krampus?
We'll start with I guess maybe just who Krampus is, right?
Yeah.
He's a figure in Central European folklore, and he's a horned half man, half demon, half goat So that's 3 halves. So half demon, half goat. That during the Christmas season, whereas Santa, the tradition is he comes and rewards good children, Krampus comes along to punish naughty children, and not just by leaving coal. Oh no, no. He does he brings his birch branches and his chains and his big sack to take kids away, to set them right, is what the story says.
Yeah. The term Krampus comes from the old German word Krampen, which means
Mhm.
claw.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically like a horned figure with claws, very, very monstrous. There's some suggestion that it's connected. Well, I mean, it does come. The whole thing, the whole story has pagan roots, like everything. I feel
Right.
like everything has pagan roots. Like
100%. Yeah.
everything goes back to the pagans.
We're all children of pagans.
So the way Krampus has developed over the years is, it's Saint Nick's dark servant, right? So this darker side to the tale of Saint Nick, basically trick kids into being good, because if they're not, nothing but pain and hellfire awaits.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I grew up Catholic, and so that's all too familiar,
I know, right? Man, like, what a messed up thing.
Yeah. Raised on fear. It's worked forever, right?
I know, right? It makes you question, like, are any of us actually good, or is it just all fear-based? I don't know.
That's a whole can of worms that all my theology classes in school never wanted to talk about.
I know,
Never.
right? It's
Is
like,
this all? Am I really good if I'm just following the rules to not go to hell, or is it because I'm inherently good? I don't know.
big questions, you guys. So the figure of Krampus has pagan roots. Some people connect it to the pagan figure of the satyr, which we've talked about on the podcast multiple times. The satyr.
He's a fun boy.
He's a fun boy. Yeah, he's not particularly evil. He likes to have a good time. But he's kind of, he's kind of like a little goat-like man that likes to have fun. And throughout history, basically before the Catholics got their hands on it, the celebration of the Krampus figure was really just kind of about wearing masks and animal furs and romping about town during the winter celebration of Yule. Wasn't really called Krampus at this time, but that was where the imagery started,
Right.
was this animal creature that also liked to romp about, like the satyr. And then over time, the Catholic Church was like, we gotta get rid of all this pagan stuff.
As they do.
As they do.
But not all of it. They'll take what they like.
They'll take what they like. And honestly, it's a really smart move by the Catholics, because it's, it's assimilation. It's like, we're going to just take this and take this to make you kind of comfortable, since it's what you're used to. But then we're going to put a saucy Catholic spin on it.
Just a real saucy Catholic spin.
And that's exactly what they did. So they're trying to move away from the pagan traditions and move into a more Catholic tradition. So they basically took this figure that really wasn't it wasn't associated with the devil. It wasn't, it was definitely playful and kind of dark, but like not the devil. And they took it and then they tried to turn it in to this very clear duality of good versus evil. They started to add more imagery that was more devil-like, and you'll see that we're going to talk about. There's a lot of old Krampus-related Christmas cards that have been created over the years, and those really latch on to the devil-like imagery. He tends to be red. He tends to have horns. And I feel like researching this was particularly interesting because for Halloween this year, we did the devil episode. We examined imagery of the devil over the course of history. And we talked about how the devil became this figure that was red and had horns and carried a pitchfork. And you see very similar imagery with Krampus. Like sometimes it's like they weren't even trying. They just like made Krampus look like the devil, basically. And the evolution of that imagery is a very similar thing as just the imagery of the devil. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you can go back and listen to that, and you're going to see a lot of connections between what we're talking about with Krampus and just the development of the devil. But basically, so yeah, the Catholic Church was taking over this imagery. And then as a pushback against the Catholic Church, people kind of leaned into it, and they would wear these devilish masks, and they would basically try to continue the pagan tradition, but amped it up a little bit as a way to kind of push back against the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think, is also, once again, going back to our previous devil episode, that is really interesting because it reminds me of you visited it with me, the Satanic Temple, and the idea of taking imagery from the Catholic Christian religion and using it in kind of a trickster way.
Love tricksters.
I know, right? Me too. Using it in a way that is reclaiming it and is kind of just using it as a way to push back against the Christian powers that be, or the Catholic powers that be.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. I feel like that's like an earlier incarnation of like what the Satanic Temple is doing today.
Yeah, in a way, because it's what the Satanic Temple, their whole thing is checks and balances, right, within other religions, is that and it's interesting that we bring up now Krampus, who is the other side to Saint Nicholas. And I was, upon doing research, thought it was really interesting that we have Halloween that precedes All Saints Day. It's this another two sides of the same thing. All the good spirits are in one day, bad spirits, quote unquote, in the previous. And now we have the same thing here with Krampus Night, which is on December 5th, which precedes St. Nicholas Day on December 6th. So that kind of darkest before dawn, they're going to get you before the good guy comes the next day.
Oh, geez, Krampus gonna get you.
You gotta hold out just a little longer. Keep those boots out. Did you ever, speaking of St. Nicholas Day, maybe this was just a Catholic school thing when I grew up, but did you celebrate St. Nick's Day in your school? Did you leave?
Yeah, I remember doing I think we made little boots or something, and then you got I don't know, coins or little things in them. But yeah, I remember doing that. And I also remember coming home and because my mom wasn't Catholic. Yeah. And so I'd come home and it's early December and I'd be talking about leaving boots outside, and she had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah, because I grew up in the Midwest, so we'd always have our snow boots, and we would just be told we had to, we had our line of coat racks, and we put our snow boots underneath. And in between classes or someone, they would just come and drop candy in our boots, which was pretty gross because these were sweaty boots. But they would,
we did that. We did that at my school too. Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, but we didn't observe Krampusnacht, and I, even though I was raised Catholic, and that was probably enough, that still would have.
That was enough to instill the fear of God within you.
They're doing enough, they don't. Do we need another horned devil coming for them? We have plenty already. I feel like we're getting diminishing returns if we get Krampus in there too.
One of my favorite things about Catholicism, though, and growing up Catholic, was how friggin' dark it was. I like to talk to people that didn't grow up Catholic about my Catholic upbringing, because it's straight out the gate. You're 5 years old and you're looking at a bloody Jesus on a cross, and
who's telling it's all your fault.
Yeah. And we're drinking his blood and eating his body, and it's just chill. It's just
so that we can live forever. I mean, it's all it'll goof you. And
but I kind of appreciate, I very much appreciate the dark aesthetics of Catholicism, and having that ingrained in you at such a young age. And in a way, they act like it's not a big deal too,
That's the worst part, right?
I know.
That's you're looking at. I mean, was it Maurice Sendak? Someone said that the worst thing you can say to a child is that it's afraid of a monster in their closet is that there is no monster. That that it instills this really arrested development and then of like, oh man, well now no one believes me. So
Yeah.
growing up in this church of, you're looking at this, we're all worshiping this a naked stripped man that's been beaten, crucified to a cross, and everyone is dressed in their Sunday best going, yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm like 5 years old, like in the pews, just like eating dry Cheerios.
yeah,
Like, whatever,
this is all okay. Oh man.
But I appreciate the absurdity of it, to be honest. I feel like, yeah, Catholic school kind of missed the boat by not jumping on the Krampus bandwagon.
Yeah, at least, I mean, you're doing enough in these other places, I feel like. And you're throwing candy in my sweaty boots. You can also give me a little fun here,
Come on. Also, I want to talk about this before I forget, before we get into any of the images or the movies. So I just learned about this in a mad dash to do research before we got on the phone. I just found out about Perkta, the winter goddess. Have you heard about this?
No, please do tell.
Okay, so I was watching this video on YouTube. It's really good. Krampus exploring the legend of the Christmas demon. And there is a connection because Krampus has roots in Germany, Austria, that area. And there is a connection to Perkta the winter goddess, which is this Austrian character that was apparently very briefly discussed in the Brothers Grimm fairy tales at some point. But she's basically a badass combination of Santa and Krampus.
Oh, hell yeah. That's what I'm always looking for.
So we have this awesome female goddess representing duality of man in I think a pretty cool way. And I got really excited about this because we briefly in our 2016 holiday special of the podcast, we briefly touch on Krampus a little bit. And also in that episode, we talked about La Befana, which is basically an Italian Christmas witch.
Oh, yeah.
It's like this badass lady Santa Claus that drinks wine and she's like amazing. And I was so excited about her because it's like we don't have a lot of female centered Christmas figures, like Santa Claus is always a man. And so I was really excited to see that there's this Perkta the winter goddess who is both of them. Like she is both the Santa figure and the Krampus figure. And like Saint Nick, she'll, leave coins in shoes of children that were good. But if you were bad, oh boy, for kids that were bad, she'd go real dark real quick. She would slit open their bellies.
Oh.
And and she would remove their insides and fill them with straw and pebbles.
Oh God, they're gonna be so heavy.
He's so uncomfortable.
That is the last thing I would want done to my belly.
And yeah, in the images of Perkta, like the good Perkta winter goddess is this ethereal, spirit, basically, like winter spirit.
Yeah.
And then the evil, the dark side of Perkta is kind of like an old hag, is represented that way as this scary old witch. But I don't know. I just thought, I was like, I like that. I like let's stop with this good versus evil. Let's just wrap them all up into one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
let's get some real gray nuance in there. That they're not all good and all bad. They're all.
Exactly. Also, just real quick on the subject of lady Christmas figures. Do you have Disney Plus? Did you get on Disney Plus?
Oh, love
I
it.
figured you would.
Some great stuff in there.
Did you watch Noelle?
Yeah.
With
Bill Hader and Anna Kendrick? Yeah.
Yes. I thought it was so cute.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. And I loved that they went the route of like female empowerment. They're like, fuck yeah, there can be a lady Santa Claus.
God, yeah, fuck yeah. I admittedly did not finish it, but I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I just spoiled it for you.
It felt like that's where the story was headed, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can kind of make that assessment from the beginning. Like, oh, she's supposed to be Santa Claus.
Yeah, I think that's why maybe I should have maybe given it more of a shot, but that's why I was like, from the get-go, you're like, clearly she's the most eligible for this gig, and I don't know why everyone is like stuck in
Right.
Yes.
Because of the patriarchy, Brian.
Oh, I know why. I just don't mean I like it anymore. Like I think it ain't better or less,
I adored Bill Hader's character in that movie, though.
I just adore Bill Hader.
Oh, me too. I am like madly in love with Bill Hader. Like, it's really a problem.
Yeah? Oh, he's so good. Do you see It Chapter 2?
I haven't, but I
man,
need to.
he's a star in that. It's so good. It steals the whole movie.
I just finished Barry, finally.
Barry's great. Yeah.
Barry's amazing. I put it off for a while because I can just be really weird when it comes to like violence.
Uh-huh.
And finally I was like, nah, I'm ready. And I marathoned it so quick. It's so good. Speaking of duality of good and evil, that show is brilliant.
Mm-hmm. He is vast and contains multitudes in that show.
Yeah, everyone watch Barry. Everyone watch Noelle. Back to Krampus.
Back to Krampus. Speaking of women figures in the folklore, I also saw in the recent years, Krampus has also been connected to the Norse goddess Hel, as in it's Hel's son. So there's something there too.
That's fun.
Hel controls the underworld in Norse mythology. So he, with his sack, taking those kids, taking them down to the underworld.
Nice. Oh, I also wanted to mention too, with Perkta, there was also basically like a whole group of Perktin, which were protective spirits that had the same vibe, essentially. So this is where we kind of get this idea of there being a bunch of Krampus. What would be the plural for Krampus? Krampi?
Oh, I don't know.
Krampuses?
Crampies.
Crampies. It's a bunch of little crampies.
Cramps. Yeah.
The cramps. That sounds
Christmas
like
with the cramps.
That sounds like a disease. Like, I got the cramps.
Cramps.
I got a case of the
I'm
cramps.
having a bummer holiday. I got a case of the cramps.
But yeah, so there's also this idea that Krampus isn't just one guy.
Oh.
You have a whole army of the Kramps. So it's a kind of monster. Kind of like, like the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Going back to, like, it's a type of monster.
What's scarier, one big Krampus or like a bunch of little Krampuses?
How little are they?
I'm thinking like elf size,
Oh,
like
yeah,
Santa's little helper Krampuses.
That's pretty terrifying still. Elves are kind of creepy.
Inherently, right?
Yeah. So yeah, little.
Because they're uncanny. They're like human, but not.
Exactly. Little tiny Krampuses. I don't know about that. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, but would it be worse if there was just one big, like, 2-story Krampus coming in? I don't know if Krampus is 2 stories tall, but
I mean,
still.
that would be terrifying, but at least you know what you're dealing with,
You see him coming,
You see him, you're like, I see you. The little elf Krampuses, like, you don't know where they're hiding. You don't know what they're up to.
Ain't that just the way? That's so true.
Oh, man. Okay. So, Krampus. Do we want to look at some of these cards?
Yeah, let's transition, because I think it explains a lot of where this is a really interesting one, because I think it's primarily Krampus's fame in the U.S. is indebted mostly to these cards, to the art of Krampus that really inspired, like, oh, who's this dude? So let's get into it.
Because they are wild.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen them. If you've ever heard, Krampus, and you remember like kind of the old timey art of the. Would you call that Art Deco? Sort of. What would be the style of it?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how I would.
Because I would describe, maybe not Art Deco. I think of that shop we were in Salem, where we had like all the vintage Halloween stuff.
Yeah,
and it's very much in that world. So like very vintage holiday art.
I don't know. Yeah, I look at these and it's just like distinctly vintage. Like it just feels
Very vintage. Yeah. Yeah.
vintage.
The rosy cheeks, all the
Yeah, it just feels at least what vintage has come to mean contemporarily. That's what these cards
I
look like
should
to
know if
me.
there was in the art history world if there was a
There might
term,
be.
rather
I
than
might just be
vintage.
being a bad art historian.
Oh, I'm so
Like
sorry. I
that's
called you out. I didn't mean to.
it's
Oh
it's
no.
okay. I
Krampus
don't
is
take
coming for
myself
me.
that seriously. So I've got a bunch of them, but like if you Google, like they're never ending.
They are all.
And let's see, in this first image I sent you, Brian, there's 6 different Krampus related cards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they all have they're all very devilish, right?
Mhm.
Like we've got horns in one of them. We've got the Krampus is this black. It's got like a furry goat-like body.
Mhm.
So like Black Phillip.
Oh yeah. All hail.
Black Phillip, and then he's got this crazy long tongue, and he's carrying a broom. I wonder if the broom has to do with the straw that Perkta would put in the kids' bellies.
Well, it's also connected to the birch stick, right? And what I've seen is that
Oh,
it's connected
yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
pagan witch rituals of kind of like a mock death ceremony they would do, that they would use them for, what's the word I'm looking for? Flaying, not flaying. What's a word for whipping without a whip? I can't remember. But anyway, his tools are very much inspired from pagan rituals, like the chains that he has insinuate maybe like a Christian idea of trying to chain the devil down, but he's obviously freed, and now he's using them to his own good. And now the birch sticks are used to, whack them, and so which is what
Whack 'em good.
whack 'em good, whack a Krampus. Yeah,
That would be a great like Christmas carnival game.
Very much so, yeah. And I can't help you say trickster, and I think of in like Commedia, the Arlecchino character. He's the trickster, and they walk around with slapsticks, right? He would hit people, and it would make a slap sound, and we'd all laugh. It's really funny. This is like the same tool, but not as funny. It's very much, it's like a painful punishing thing. But it's just it's so funny to see all these parallels within. Like, he's very much a trickster character.
Yeah, totally. It's like still kind of funny though, is the thing. Like when you really think about it, it's very dark, but like some of these images are very silly, you know.
Oh, they're hilarious. But if I was that child, in one of those sacks, like,
not so hilarious.
Not so funny. Life's always funny when it's not happening to you. Is
Man, we're just full of nuggets of wisdom on this episode.
Brought to you by Krampus.
I wanted to talk about in this first one, this panel of 6 different Krampus cards.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the third image on the top.
Yeah.
Because once again, going back to, because literally all of these are very connected with devil imagery. They all have some element of typical Satan imagery.
Yeah.
But in this third one, he's got the bottom, like the legs of a goat, but he has a human basically, or like a human torso.
Yeah.
And he's shirtless. And it reminds me of the sexy Satan imagery.
Yeah.
Not only did the image of Krampus kind of take on the more straightforward, silly imagery of the devil, but they also played into the sexy Satan trope, which I think is really interesting because there was like an attempt at some point to make Krampus sexy.
Oh, and I don't think we have to say that attempt is over. We can still do it.
I mean, we don't have to stop.
We don't have to stop. Don't give up yet. Krampus is sexy. Whereas old Saint Nick, Santa Claus, he's like your happy grandpa, but Krampus is like daddy,
Yeah.
Like...
Exactly. Oh man. Krampus is gonna show you a good time.
I can't help but to think in this picture, that third one, you're like, it's like a sexy body, but the first body that I think of is like Jeff Goldblum's body.
Oh,
I'm seeing you, Corey.
But Jeff is sexy though.
See? That's what I'm saying. I see you.
Like Jeff Goldblum. Oh man.
All right.
He's
He's the Krampus we deserve.
I would love to see Jeff Goldblum dress up as Krampus. That would
Same.
that's a peek into my fantasies for you.
I'm so happy that everyone tuning in for some good Krampus like lore is getting just a a two-hander of how sexy Jeff Goldblum Krampus is.
If they listened to the devil episode, this isn't the first time I've gotten hot for the devil. Like, like
This isn't the first time.
we
Oh,
go
that's funny.
on for a long time in the devil episode about how hot some depictions of Satan are. So it is what it is.
Living deliciously. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. Live deliciously. Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
Let's see. I do also, I'll mention in that first 6 images of Krampus, right underneath sexy Krampus, we have a little like goblin Krampus.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I imagine the tiny Krampuses to look like. Like if there was a bunch of little Krampus goblins
Yeah, I
hiding
guess
around your
I
room.
like the image of like a 10-foot tall Krampus. You know,
Yeah.
is where my preference, my ideal Krampus would be. You know, if I'm being punished.
And that's how the Krampus is portrayed in most movies, correct?
Yeah, it's bigger and scarier as it always is.
So no one in film has tapped into the idea of like the tiny Krampus, the gang of tiny Krampuses.
Not that the gang. Not that I know. I mean, there is one that I'll talk about. Mike Doherty film just called Krampus that came out just a few years ago, and Krampus in that is very tall, very 10-foot tall, but he's got a bunch of little helpers, elves in it that are essentially just little Krampuses as well, because they're evil little elves that run around and doing nefarious things. But so that movie gets kind of both sides, but it does not give the mantle, the title of Krampus to anyone but the
main guy.
yeah, the daddy figure. Yeah.
Before we dive a little bit more into film, I just want to talk about the last image that I sent you.
Yeah.
I really like this one because you have, I mean, this one's clearly incredibly Catholic, and you have an image of Krampus, and he's wielding, he's got the chain, he's also got the straw,
Yeah.
he's got the horns, he's like a hairy devil man, the long tongue,
Uh-huh.
but he has a very friendly face.
Yeah, he's like yeah, very. And my favorite here too is you get the little boy that's praying to him, you know, like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Not only is he happy, he is like, this is who I choose to pray to, you know.
Right? Like, yeah, that's so interesting. Like this, and I mean, I think they're trying to get across the idea of repenting, you know?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Catholic reconciliation. You got to say your Our Fathers, your Hail Marys, and Krampus won't get you.
And Krampus won't get you. It's such an interesting photo because we got Saint Nick right next to him wearing full like Catholic priest cardinal robe, you know.
Yeah, it
And
looks like the friggin' Pope.
it looks like the goddamn Pope, and he's got a fucking bag of toys and but this little baller of a little boy is instead praying to Krampus right next to him with the chains and the horns. Like, no, I swear off all earthly delights to give my whole soul to Krampus.
And it's also, I like that you have this Krampus and then this Pope-like Saint Nicholas right next to each other, as though it's like a buddy situation, like a buddy comedy, you know, like
Oh,
a
yeah.
sitcom, like good cop, bad cop.
Yep.
They're in it together, and I like to imagine.
Through thick and thin, no matter what life throws at us, we're in it together.
Right? Like, I like to imagine, even though, you know, they're opposite sides of the coin and they got different work to do, they like understand each other.
They get it. They don't agree with it, but they get it.
They have a rapport between the two of
Yeah.
them.
They do have a rapport. They go back.
Oh, man. Oh, Krampus.
Oh, Krampus. So yeah, this is, we're talking about all of these vintage posters. This is really what I think rebooted his fame in the US is seeing all these photos, right? That we've got countless Christmas Santa Claus traditions. It's all happy and it's a good, but I think there was a hunger for what else is there?
Yeah. Let's have a little fun with it. Why don't we?
Like, who's this devil boy torturing these kids? And then I don't know what it says about us, but as a society, we're like, fuck yeah, let's really blow that up. Like,
I think it says that we're human and we're
yeah.
complicated. Do you got anything else movie wise?
Yeah, I got a few movie wise. Yeah, so I already brought it up, but Krampus is it's hilarious. It's a more of a comedy movie than horror, but it's a comedy horror movie, and it takes place Christmas time, where the spirit of Christmas has not been honored, and so this year, instead of Santa coming, it's Krampus coming to punish all of us North American U.S. heathens that are so consumed with capitalism and material goods rather than the spirit of Christmas. So he comes and punishes us. It's a really fun movie. It came out in 2015. It's directed by Mike Dougherty. Like I said, he directed Trick or Treat, which is my favorite Halloween movie. So this is now on the list of one of my favorite Christmas movies. It's really fun. The kind of mischievous nature of it. It takes all these images of Christmas traditions and really hams it and scares it up. You've got, evil little elves. You've got Krampus figure, who in this iteration of Krampus, you never see his face. You see his hooves, but his face is like this sagging, drooling, low-hanging jaw of a face that you realize isn't really his face. It's it's the skin of another person's face put on top.
Oh shit!
And he's wearing Santa's hat and big cloak too. So the insinuation is that in this version, Krampus killed Santa, is wearing his face, and is coming and punishing all of us.
Damn.
Yeah.
They just went for it.
Dark, super dark. And the whole movie is dark, but in a very funny way. The cast is really stacked. You got Toni Collette's in it.
Ooh.
Adam Scott is in it.
I love Adam Scott.
Yeah, it's really funny movie. If you guys are looking for a mischievous holiday time movie, check out 2015's Krampus. And then there's been really dozens of other Krampus movies that are all horror movies that have different titles, ranging from Krampus Holiday Christmas Evil to A Christmas Horror Story to, not to insult the movies. I have not seen them yet. Maybe there's some real gems in there, but they all seem to be going for the same thing.
There's one on Hulu that I almost watched in preparation for this episode called Krampus Unleashed.
Unleashed, yeah. Unchained.
And I was going to watch it, but I watched the trailer and it looks just god awful. I feel like they made this movie with $5.
Yeah. And sometimes that could be real good, that could be real good,
sometimes that could be a fun time. I shouldn't judge, but it looked kind of rough.
I was saying beforehand, there is another Krampus-like movie called Rare Exports, A Christmas Tale, which takes place in a northern Finland town where this drilling operation uncovers what they think is the tomb of Santa Claus. But spoiler, it's not Santa, it's Krampus. And so Krampus is coming and taking all the kids and killing the reindeer. And
at no point in the Krampus legend is there anything about a tomb. I've never heard of a tomb of Santa Claus. I like that they really just went for it in terms of spooky imagery and mythology. They're
really leaning into that.
Yeah, really, we're going to mix it with a mummy or a Dracula type situation here. Just going all in.
I love it. Let's splice all of our classic monsters into Krampus. And that works.
And there we go.
Everything works. I loved the idea of, because Christmas is such a wholesome family jingle bells kind of time. I love this attempt at new holiday horror, right?
Yeah.
That if we're in a spooky corner, not quite Krampus, but there is, I think, so much to unpack in spooky, scary Christmas movies, because it's inherent. We talk about Christmas Carol, Ghosts of Christmas Past. You're together with your family. It's scary. And I was trying to think of some other holiday Christmas movies that are also worth checking out. And I think going full away from fantasy and folklore, you got Black Christmas. Have you seen Black Christmas?
I have not.
I don't think you would like it. It's really
all right.
It's a slasher film before the slasher film hit really, but it's directed by the same guy that did A Christmas Story that we all love. We watch it 1,000 times a year. And it looks that, that kind of vintage. I always think of my grandparents' house during Christmas when I think of A Christmas Story, because it's got the carpeted floors, wooden walls, the multicolored lights that kind of flare, and it all kind of looks really dusty. That kind of look, that classic holiday. Yeah. That's very much what's happening in Black Christmas, except there's a killer on the loose. Very scary movie.
Everyone's dying.
Yeah, everyone's dying. And it also, I bring up Black Christmas too because there was a remake that just came out this year from Blumhouse that I have not seen yet, so I can't speak to, but the original was really good.
I've seen the trailers for the remake, and I was like,
what's that about? We also got maybe talk about Nightmare Before Christmas, right? Because
that's like your fave.
I love it. That movie raised me. I love that movie, but I owe that so much to that movie. But that's another like horror elements sneaking in and taking over Christmas, which is maybe what Krampus does himself. I think Krampus would see that movie as a kid and go, "I see you. All right, I get it."
Yeah.
And then there's Gremlins. Gremlins is another great one.
Oh, Gremlins! I haven't seen Gremlins in so long.
I always forget Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Me too.
That's another, you if you're naughty and don't follow the rules, you're cute little. What's the Gremlin's name before he turns into a gremlin?
Gizmo?
Mogwai. That's right.
Oh, Mogwai.
Yeah. Yeah, don't you know? Yeah, if you don't follow the rules, you get punished with evil little gremlins.
They're so cute, though.
Yeah, this is all in the peripheral of Spooky Krampus. There's 3 other movies for you to check out in your spooky holiday season.
Also, there's a new, I haven't watched it yet. It's on Hulu. There's like a spooky, like they're really leaning into the spooky element of Christmas Carol. Have you seen that?
Yeah, it's on FX. They got Guy Pearce.
Yeah.
He's Ebenezer Scrooge. Andy Serkis is Christmas Present. Yeah, it looks great. I have not seen it yet, but I always think that Christmas Carol would do well for like a good hard horror.
Oh yeah.
Telling of it, because we've got our fill of what it could be as a wholesome thing. We got Muppet Christmas Carol that knocked it out of the park. Which
is the greatest movie of all time.
The greatest movie of all time. So when you're trying for like a good wholesome Christmas movie, it's too late. It's been done. It's perfected. Muppet Christmas, it's out there.
Yeah, it's true though. Like I was watching Muppet Christmas Carol last night, and I was like, no one needs to try this ever again. Like it's
done. It's out of the park.
They killed it, man. Like it's so good.
Did you? I watched. Oh my god, we're on a Muppet Christmas Carol thing. I watched on Disney Plus about a month ago. Muppets Christmas Carol. They completely took out the "Love Is Gone" song. Completely. It's not in the movie.
Really?
Completely cut out. And I'd always remember in college when we would watch it, we'd always laugh and joke about how awful that song is and how it's like it's in this perfect movie. There is one crack in the gem, and it's that song. And as the song was coming up, I was telling Walls because she had never seen it. That's why I was so excited to show her. I was saying, "No, okay, this whole movie's great. You're having a great time. Just you're gonna have to excuse the next 5 minutes here." And then it skips over it completely. And I was blown away. I'm like, oh my god.
That's hilarious.
Even Disney Plus was like, no.
That's so interesting because sometimes things get cut because they're offensive or something. There's nothing offensive about
it. It's offensive
it's
to
just
your ears.
Not
it's
good.
Offensive to
It's just not good.
Oh man.
Muppet Christmas Carol. I think I've talked about Muppet Christmas Carol on every one of our Christmas episodes that we've ever done.
You're fighting the good fight. People got to know.
They do. They just do. It's the best film. So good. Muppets, man. Muppets are where it's at.
Muppets where it's at. Well, thanks for bringing me out of the cupboard.
Yeah.
The cabinet to talk about some spooky and holiday time.
Yeah. Thank you for suggesting the idea. It was a good one. I had fun. Talking about the Krampus. I mean, I'm not going to get all sentimental because you will probably do another episode next month. So
yeah. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, right?
Hope you enjoyed that episode, everyone, and hope you're having a lovely holiday season, whatever you celebrate. Hope you're, staying warm and, I don't know, eating cookies and stuff and hanging out with family.
Drinking that eggnog.
Drinking some nog. Maybe you're out there hunting the Krampus. Maybe that's your winter festivities.
Maybe. Oh man. Krampus hunting. We didn't even
Yeah.
talk about the Krampus run.
Oh, the
The-
Krampus run.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Quick, the Krampus run. They celebrate it in parts of Germany and Austria. You dress up as Krampus and you run through the streets scaring kids and yeah. Did I cover it?
Yeah. You got it. Nailed it.
Okay, cool. The Krampus run.
So there's that. And now, because I just said it, we're going to have to turn Krampus hunting into a thing. I feel like that could be a fun winter activity.
Yeah, dressing up, kind of like Ghost Bros. You know those ghost hunter shows. Like, hey Krampus, I've been
Yes.
naughty. Just like
Yeah.
try to goat him out. You know, where you at, Krampus? I've been no good at all.
I've been no good at all.
Incredible.
Okay, so we've given you plenty to think about and plenty of fodder for your dirty holiday fantasies.
For Daddy Krampus.
Thanks for listening. This was a fun one. As always, thank you for being here, Brian, Spooky Brian.
Always happy to be. Yeah.
And we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Bye. Happy holidays.
Oh, geez, Krampus gonna get ya.